proof over promises, fitness, nutrition, accountability. You have to have all three. You can't bullshit around and say, I'm going to have the accountability and the nutrition.
You can't just do two out of three.
I refuse to work out. Best of luck with that.
You can't have a Trinity with 2 out of the 3.
No, you got to.
First and foremost, I really need to get my shit in check. And if I were to get into a program, how does that work? You're not, as a personal trainer, what are you essentially providing for me when I decided to go ahead, bite the bullet, get my stuff together and say, I need some serious help in what I'm doing, even though I may have been, I would say, pretty athletic individual, but I've lost that. Yeah. I've really lost that.
It's actually a really good question. What I do with my business is it's all online. It's online fitness and nutrition training. So you have personal trainers that will train you in person. So you show up to ABC Gym and you get a personal session. They'll have a personal trainer walk you through the machines, do an assessment, and work you out. But that's generally where it ends. So what I'm finding, and the reason I got into the online space, is because I can spend more time with people. A lot of it's education. It's talking through what exactly it is that they're trying to ascertain when it comes to mostly nutrition, accountability, and then fitness planning. You're someone who's always been active. You spent time in the service. You played sports and always been in fairly decent shape. But what we're finding is, especially with my business, is that people aren't necessarily needing to be taught anything, more or less reminded of certain basic principles when it comes to eating and exercising. Look, we all know that eating 12 cheeseburgers is probably not the most healthiest thing, but we do it anyways because maybe we're in a fucking hurry, or hey, all I've got time for is to stop and get 12 burgers or whatever it is you're eating. I'm not teaching my clients or anybody anything new, merely just reminding them, but then giving them simple and actual effective ways that they can start making changes.
If you're not a personal trainer, if you're not there physically with me, I have a hard time with accountability. Dude, how do you keep somebody accountable? But if you're not there in their face telling them that, dude, do you know how these chicken nuggets are made? But yeah, you still keep eating them. Yeah. What the hell?
Think about it like this. For those of you who work 9-to-5s, your boss doesn't have to physically show up to your bedroom at 6 o'clock in the morning to wake you up to make sure you're somewhere by 8 o'clock. You need to be there because the accountability is you don't get your ass to work, you're not getting a paycheck. It's that same principle. Either you're going to do what's required to keep that job, or you're not going to get a paycheck. And so you have to have some level of accountability. We all do. And so some people will just never be able to hold a job. Let's be honest. Some people are just never going to get their driver's license at some point.
Sometimes I've even wondered how the hell I'm even able to maintain 9 to 5 over all them years. It's just tough. It is tough.
When it comes to what I do, is that I know my people at least have some level of accountability. Really all I'm doing is reminding people. When it comes to their fitness, if it's health related, they're worried about blood pressure, being diabetic, whatever. We just remind them of the things that are important to them that they're already holding themselves accountable to. Most of my people are generally in their 30s or above. They're generally married. They generally have jobs, but somewhere in line, they just lost track of their personal health. It's reminding them, you do all these things consistently. You just lost track of what's important when it comes to your health. And that's where the accountability comes.
It makes perfect sense. And I'm sure you can attest to that when you start a family of your own and you become accountable for the sake of everybody else, maintaining your family and being responsible, it's really easy to forget about personal health. Self-love in a sense, because again, you're taking care of others, you don't have time for yourself. It's one of those things where I feel like it's not an excuse. Like, I hate to say it's an excuse, but damn, at some point in time, I guess you have the self-accountability approach.
What you're bringing up is not atypical, and it's actually not that unique. We all think our stories are pretty unique, but in general, what you're talking about is fairly consistent. I mainly coach a lot of police, firefighters, military.
Really?
Police officers, nurses, doctors, lawyers, public servants. That's a bulk, almost 90% of.
It's even more on top of what they're already doing then. And not only take care of their families, now they have a, what do you call your, not constituents or
Well, they have a strong sense of duty. That's the common thing. They all have a strong sense of duty. Something that's common that people have in common when it comes to having a strong sense of duty is generally they put others before themselves. It's putting yourself at risk for the benefit of others. And all we're doing is mimicking that when it comes to our health. Well, me needing to get to work and take care of the family and take care of the wife and the kids and the job, well, that's all first. And then you play second fiddle.
who's taking care of you?
And that's what I'm going to end up doing with my business and my coaching approach is just remind these people that it's okay to put yourself first. It's actually an odd feeling because they've done it for so long. The feeling of putting yourself first before others, the people you swore to serve, the people you're there to protect, your kids, by not putting yourself first when it comes to your health, you're actually doing them a disservice. It's just reminding them of that sense of service and duty by you not being optimal, by you putting yourself at risk, your team members at risk, your partners. I'm actually putting them at risk.
Because you're not at 100%.
Right, then I can't do the things that I say I'm going to do. It's really, again, it's just reminding people that that sense of duty that you have feels strange. It feels foreign because you just haven't done it in a long time. But you're currently doing it now, putting other people before yourself, but by putting importance on your health and being healthy and losing some weight. Now, I'm not talking about going up and competing at shows. Most of these people have jobs. Most of my clients have families. They have other responsibilities, but somewhere along the line, they just lost sight of their personal health. That's what we do is we make sense of it all. We clear it up. We make it simple for them, but also a way that you can actually fit this in to your busy schedule to have it make sense. Because if you can't do it, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You have to find the time. And a lot of it's resetting priorities, scheduling, and getting it to work. But that's why I enjoy doing it. I think essentially it's just problem solving.
So it's not just a physical thing, it's also a mental thing. Now granted, I'm assuming that you're not a psychiatrist or...
I get into fitness training, nutrition training, thinking it's all going to be push-ups and needing to do reps. And most of it is, you almost feel like a damn therapist. But just having life experience like we have, you could probably have a conversation that's going to be pretty impactful to somebody that has questions about starting a business, spending time in the service, having a relationship, because you have experience. And so you're able to draw those analogies a little bit clearer than if they were to go and ask a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
So you already having that experience can better relay that to someone who wants that information. Makes sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Just being someone who is a public servant, being someone who has gained a ton of fucking weight and has figured a way out to lose it. I just merely implement the steps that I did because what I do is going to be different from what an actor in Hollywood, their schedule is going to be, their experience is going to be a little bit different. But when it comes to police, fire, military, I have both retired, active duty, military all over the world, firefighters either looking to join the service or in the service or retired. There's something common across the board, and having been through that, going to year 15, god damn, that's a long fucking time, man.
That makes
15 years. I'm just I understand.
right. Yeah, right.
But that's essentially it. And so physically, we have to come to an agreement that there's actually 3 things you need to be successful. And this is something I do on my onboarding call, is why we'll set up an appointment where I get to meet people. I'm really interviewing my clients just as much as they're interviewing me.
So this is what you do on the initial, I'm taking that first step.
Yeah,
This is what we're doing.
Just like anything else. So think of it as your car. Something's fucking up with your car. And you take it to a dealership, you take it to a car repair guy. Would you think it'd be a little strange if you took it right in and said, this is going to be $2,000 to fix it the moment you brought it in, didn't ask any questions, didn't figure out what was going on with the car? I would think it's a little strange. Think of it like that. That initial consultation is essentially you bringing your vehicle in, the one vehicle you have your entire life, which is your body. And then we figure out, all right, when did this start? What's going on? What's changed? What have you done that's worked? That's what we do in our initial call.
It's like your diagnostic.
Diagnostics. You have to figure out what they've been doing, what all it is. So it's very hard to answer somebody in a text message, whether I can help them or not, because I look for these 3 things. And this is something they at least have to come to an agreement on. Listen up, these are the 3 things. To have actual change, to be able to get a transformation, lose weight, get strong, whatever it is, there are 3 fundamental things that you have to have in place equally. And if you're lagging in any 3 of those, you're not going to be able to get the results you want. And it's fitness, nutrition, and accountability. Fitness is like the exercise. You have to do some kind of physical activity. Walking, bench press, whatever it is, there's got to be a physical portion of it.
I almost feel like that goes back to that's just the way humans are supposed to be, and we've totally fallen off that. We didn't fucking get to where we're at evolutionary wise by sitting around and being comfortable.
No, our ancestors didn't Uber Eats the next hunt. We had to physically chase our food down, get it, prepare it, eat it. But that's something that's different with modern conveniences now, is that we're not as active as we were. We live a lot more sedentary lifestyle. Having, not to teach people this is a basic concept we all learned in school, but having to remind people that the physical part that now you sit at a desk, and now that you work in admin, or now you're retired, that you're not as physical as you used to be. So I'm not teaching anything new. I'm just reminding you, at one point in time when you were in really good shape, you were probably active duty, or you were probably going through boot camp, or you were probably playing sports, or probably before you had kids, or you had to sit down and be as sedentary as you are. You have to know that there's a physical portion. We have to come to an agreement that there's some exercise. It's the fitness side. And it's got to make sense for what you're doing. Track is a sport, but the way the pole vaulter trains is going to be very, very different from how a sprinter is training. And you could just merely look at their body types, and that's going to tell you what are you trying to do.
Like
if
you're trying sprinter versus a long distance runner having
if you look at a
muscle groups.
you look at a sprinter's body. That's the analogy I use all the time. It works beautifully because everybody knows what track is. We all watch the Olympics. You look at these sprinters, they have these strong muscular builds. It's probably the body type most men are looking to get. They want to be muscular, they want to have the abs, they want to have less body fat, a whole lot of muscle.
And freaking huge ass quads as well.
They're built for power. Be a quadzilla. So if you want to be a quadzilla,
he didn't skip leg day.
Friends don't let friends skip leg day. But if you want to get sprinter results, then you would need to train like a sprinter. And that's when it comes to the fitness part of it. What you're trying to do needs to make sense. So that's where we help them. I actually craft personal plans for my clients on what they're trying to do.
Oh, so what program I have is not going to be what the next person has.
No, because you are very unique in the age that you're at, in your schedule, in your dietary. Maybe you do have some underlying things.
So this is P90X where freaking everybody's following the same, sort of regime. Or I just use P90X, but I almost feel like that's...
Most people know what that is.
And it's usually the same across the board, where even if you read Men's Health, or whatever it is, that everybody's working off the same sort of regime.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work. That regime don't work for everybody. Does that sound about right?
If you want P90X or some of these, I call them cookie cutter programs, is that they could probably fit a lot of people, but the results may vary. But that's why it's got to be all 3. When I talk about that's the exercise, the approach needs to make sense for what you're trying to do.
Understood.
The next major component after fitness is you need to have the nutrition dialed in.
Oh,
we have to agree on that. You are what you eat, but they've all got to make sense. What you eat's got to complement the programming you're doing, but also the results you want. What I do when I personalize it is I will take into consideration, being a nutritionist too, is I'm able to break down people's health requirements to get them optimized. You may require a different nutritional approach if you're trying to address a nutrient deficiency, or if you're not optimal with your hormones. It could be something as simple as eating enough vitamins, getting enough rest, and the nutrition portion of that.
If I'm training for a marathon, probably won't get the same nutritional regime as if I am stacking on for, say, jiu-jitsu competition coming up, or I'm just essentially trying to bodybuild.
Yeah.
We're not all just trying to pack on
protein.
I don't know, man.
Your nutrition approach would need to make sense for what you're doing. A long distance runner is going to eat very differently, especially paired up with the training kind of program they're doing, from somebody who's looking to do jiu-jitsu or something that's more of an explosive, more of a mobility type exercise in short bursts of energy. They're going to need longer, sustained, steady state.
Okay.
Your nutrition would need to complement that, but that's the other part we do is we do full nutritional evaluations and then try to make sense of it all. When to eat, the timing is very important. Timing ends up being key, but also just being optimal. Having the right vitamins and minerals and macro distribution so that they can get the results.
Oh, those macros, bro. Those macros, I don't fucking get.
I didn't even
know
I didn't know what fucking carbs were until like maybe a couple of years into my medical career. Because I was sitting there working at this office. I mean, I knew what they were, but never like tried to make sense of it for me. One of my first jobs, and I was walking out with some donuts and like some French fries and whatever bullshit. And someone was like, "Oh, loading up on the carbs today," and I was like, "Yep." And I was like, "What the fuck are carbs?"
Right.
I just know this is food. And making sense of it, really reminding people exactly what things are for, and then at what distributions to take them at. Carbs are not the enemy. People are like, oh, I gotta go zero carb. Well,
what does it mean when it's telling me complex carbs? Like, damn it was the carbs was one thing, carb loading.
Yeah.
But then when they say, like, no, you're looking for a complex carb.
Yeah. There are two different specific types of carbs. You have simple and you have complex. And the name pretty much tells you what it is. Think about like a math equation. If it's simple, it's gonna be something you can figure out quickly. If it's a complex math problem, it's probably gonna take you a little bit longer. And all that's referring to is the digestibility of the carb. If it's a simple carb, you're gonna digest it quick.
Sugar?
Yeah, like sugar.
Okay.
Like carbs, if it's complex, it's gonna take you a little bit longer to digest it. Why is that important? If you're worried about glucose level and insulin, which ends up being a really big issue, then you're gonna want to eat different types of carbs depending on what you're trying to do. Making these little analogies.
Especially when it comes to blood sugar. That makes
That's huge.
sense.
Yeah, it's important.
Even for me, because I'm pre-diabetic. And when I eat, say I ate a chicken breast.
Yeah.
But if I eat a breaded chicken breast, man, I get really tired.
Yeah.
I get like fatigued, like I'm about to pass out.
That's exactly how you would expect to respond if something was breaded like that, and you probably had it with some fries. Be honest.
Yeah.
You probably had a side of waffle fries. This is the problem, is we have a diet, the standard American diet right now is very heavy on the carbs. It actually makes the base of the food pyramid, which we're finding out is not the best approach. By having simple carbs right away and eating it like that, it's simple. So your body's gonna digest it quickly. And all food, all energy, the body's energy source is actually glucose or sugar in its simplest form. Right. All things eventually get converted into glucose or energy. It's the only thing the brain runs off of. Ultimately, everything breaks down to, when it comes to energy, the glucose. And so we're worried about, all right, if it's digesting quickly, then your glucose is getting spiked quickly, which triggers the body to release insulin. People are like, okay, what is insulin? Your body produces that to offset the glucose. Your body's playing this game.
Oh, it's a means of homeostasis?
Homeostasis, that's a good word. You know your medical terminology. Homeostasis is just being at home base, being level. So nobody's ever in perfect homeostasis. When it comes to your blood sugar, your body's trying to keep it regulated in this, what we call a normal reference range. If you eat foods that are not going to cause you to have these big spikes and these big dips and these big insulin releases and these big jumps in your blood sugar, if you can eat things so that it stays more stable, that allows your body to regulate fluids, muscle, not have you get all hangry at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Ooh, I know how.
Ultimately, you figure out to lose weight or gain muscle. That ends up being a lot of what we're covering in the nutrition part. Getting it to make sense. We all know what that is, but then breaking it down, we do meal planning. Some people, we just ship them food if they don't have time to make it, but we get it shipped out to them where the flavor profiles. And
you help with that too?
Yeah, we'll ship you food.
Oh.
It's not.
You like my own HelloFresh?
HelloFresh, I do HelloFresh. I actually got to get back up on it because you get a TV dinner essentially, or you can get HelloFresh to where you freshly.
I liked making the food.
I do too.
When I had the recipe, the ingredients,
yeah.
that I love. I feel good. I feel like I'm a Michelin chef almost.
Yeah. But some days you can sit there and chef it out and prepare it, right? But some days are busy and. Fuck it, I'm just gonna get a cheeseburger.
45-minute prep time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to spend all day in the kitchen cooking, but we all got stuff to do.
Brother, I love the fact that you even help out with things like that because I probably think that is a huge thing as well. Is that, yeah, I know everything I need to do about nutrition, but I hate trying to figure that damn thing out every day. I'll cook, but if I got to figure out dinner when I come home,
Yeah.
there's
That's
a
a
reason
whole-
why fast food is fast food, because going through the drive-through,
It's
it's
less-
not the good decision,
Yeah.
but we're creatures of comfort, unfortunately, and it seems like it really fits. It really helps us just make that easy path towards.
Well, and you're picking the
food.
route of least resistance. We all done it. It's quicker to grab pizza on the way home. I don't have to clean. It's cooked. It's ready to go. It's whatever. But we are the end result of several, if not many, thousands of decisions and little incremental decisions we make every day. And so you may not see the effect of those little decisions, but the thing is, gradually over time, they build up over time. It could be 5 years down the road, 10, that if you're eating pizzas all the time, then you start seeing the downstream effects of that. Nothing wrong with that. By being able to make these small changes, you can then incorporate those and they become longer term. They start compounding as far as the return of investment. I'm going to do it today. It's going to be twice a week, 3 times a week. This is my constant way of life. And so it's the same thing with healthy habits or healthier eating or planning it out. All right, I'm going to do this one little step. And by doing that, you start to get this compounded effect to where downstream, you started doing these small things early on. And then 5 years and your cholesterol is better and you live longer, you get off medications.
Right.
Or some of the things you don't see right away because it doesn't happen on the first meal. But just like eating a little bit of fast food, how that compiles up and catches up to you quickly. Same thing with the good effects. And it's this constant fight of good and evil. It's food, like for real. That's essentially what it is.
Good habits are really hard, but habits that really aren't good for me, but really feed that dopamine thing.
Yeah.
I feel like overnight, like, oh, I did that hard. I picked that habit up in a heartbeat.
Well,
But
yeah.
you're like, okay, you really should focus on, I don't know, simple things like brushing your teeth every day. It's so hard to it's so simple to do, but I'll go real hard on maintaining a strict diet or doing those good habits. But you best believe like that it lasts for about a couple weeks, and then I'm right back to square one again.
Do you brush your teeth every night?
No.
Most of the time?
I'm gonna tell you straight up, right? No.
What it is learned behavior. You brought that as an example, and let's use our kids, because most of us have kids. If you're in this age group, or you're in the spot where you're thinking about this stuff, most people are starting to think about their kids being around longer for them. So I want you to think of when you were a kid or you have kids, teaching them to brush your teeth. It's something you had to have a lot of oversight of right up front. Time to brush your teeth. I know you hate doing this, and it's that repetitive, and that's the accountability. The third most important thing is having the accountability. That's that constant application of positive reinforcement, but also reinforcement. So by you taking your kid every day and forcing them when they didn't want to do it, you're forcing them to do something better. They need to brush their teeth. You're not forcing them to, I don't know, spray paint on a wall or something.
Yeah.
You're doing it for their better good, but
Not an easy thing to.
Well, when's the last time you had to make your kid go and brush their teeth? They probably do it on their own now, I would assume. That ends up being learned behavior. If I don't go and brush my teeth, Dad's gonna get on my ass and make me go brush my teeth. I hate doing it, but you do that enough and constantly, that's that learned behavior that eventually it becomes part of their habit.
Yeah.
It becomes part of their day-to-day life. And so as they become adults, they'll pass those traits on to their kids. Same thing. We talked about doing something that's really good on automatic reward, but we know that not everything that gives you a dopamine dump is good for you. That's just where being a higher level thinking entity comes into play.
Yeah, important, because I know personally, because I can't keep myself accountable. I can't keep myself accountable. Self accountability seems to be hard, but when I have somebody keeping me accountable, I'm on it. When I feel like I'm doing it for somebody else, when I do it for myself, not so much. But when I do it for somebody else, it's different. Even if you're the one keeping me accountable, I know in my head, then I'm doing it. I don't want to let you down.
Yeah.
As my coach, let you down. I'm going to do it.
And that's huge. The saying is, when the cat is away, the mice will play. It's true that if you don't have somebody with some oversight that knows what they're doing and can actually give you the actionable steps you can take, is going to run rampant. The cat's out of the bag. The mice will play. That's the big thing about accountability, is that by having someone that's going to be checking it on you, especially for my service-based people, is we all have this strong sense of duty. We all know what a chain of command is. We all know what orders are, and you just do your orders, and then you expect good leadership from leadership, and you also want them to stand back and let you do your thing. An effective, good leader is someone that's going to give you the resources you need, and it's going to give you a clear path on what your objective is, and then they expect you to do it.
Hell yeah, that's just like my time in the Marine Corps. Like, those are the leaders that I had. I'll do what you need from me.
Okay, so think of it like this. We all know that shitty leader, or shitty patrol lead, or shitty captain, officer, whatever.
You almost question everything.
Well, okay.
I mean, like, when it's a leader that you don't really...
So let's use this as an example. The leader is there for your squad. What do they call them? Squads?
Yeah.
Your leader, your squad, shows up terribly out of shape, is never on time, doesn't give you clear direction on what's supposed to be done, and doesn't give you the tools to get the job done. Is that the type of leader you want to be leading you?
Dude, absolutely not. I never understood that, because that does happen.
But shitty people get promoted quickly. And so sometimes you'll get that. Just like you'll get shitty personal trainers, you'll get shitty online coaches, you'll get bad business coaches, you'll get bad doctors, lawyers, whatever. But let's face it, that's the reality, is you have good leadership and you have bad. I know a type of leader I want to work for, especially when lives are on the line. So if you're in the service, which you were, you've been on several deployments, when it all comes down to it, I just want a fucking good leader that is not going to be here micromanaging me, is going to give me the tools that I need, and then I trust in their leadership that they're looking out for us. That's all you can ask.
It's almost like it reinforces lead by example.
It does.
I know you putting in the work. I know when you tell me it's time to put in the work, I will take that shit more to heart than somebody who is, I don't know how to put it, an overweight. Somebody that's overweight and telling me, hey, you need to put in the work. Like, motherfucker, you need to put in the work.
This is something I cover a lot. It's communication. Whether you're a leader, a follower, you're a grunt, whatever it is, everybody communicates, regardless if you're trying to or not. It's the 7-38-55 principle. 7% of communication is the actual words you use, or the conjunction, you put one word after the other.
Right.
The actual context that you're using. 38% of it is not the words, but actually the tonality of your voice. Are you being assertive? Are you being passive? Are you undertoned? You're being sarcastic? What is it? The tone is what people are actually going to listen to. The words aren't very important. Your tone and how you say things confidently or inconfidently are more important. But the most important, 55% of all communication, is nonverbal. Because we can draw several assumptions that are generally true when you look at someone's physical presence. If I'm sitting here like this, like, Brad, I'm so excited to see you, dude. I'm so glad you came. My words are telling you something because they only register as 7% of my communication. My tone was low, but also my physical way I was presented.
And the first thing I said was, you full of shit. Full of shit.
But it's true when it comes
to
leadership, and that's why it's something I get into with health and fitness.
Yes, sir.
So your physical presence is going to speak, non-verbally speak, to those around you. It's going to give them certain cues that you're disciplined enough to say no to boxes of donuts time after time, that you're consistent in your judgment, that you're willing to give up some delayed gratification because you take care of yourself, and you're willing to put off having that dopamine dump by having donuts and doing other bullshit consistently. You don't have to tell me that. I can look at you and assume that. When it comes to a leader, same thing. Like when you're in the Marine Corps, do I know?
Like, it's like you're reading
is
Potter.
This, you hop up to, hey guys, today's assignment. The guy that's up there, hey assholes, listen up. Like, this is it. I need you to do this. Clear, directed. They give you the resources. They know what they're doing. They're confident in what they're doing. Those are all things that are very important to most people in the service-based industry, but also dads. That's something that's important to us. These are all things that are principles that I instill to my coaching business. A lot of it is, again, reminding people that the way you communicate as a business owner, as a man, as a leader, hell, even as a follower, if you don't have time to express yourself, via the tone or the words, you're gonna let everybody else know just based on your physical presence on what you're doing. If that's important to you, you may want to look into that and hire yourself a good coach.
It's not just charisma.
No, because you can be very charismatic as
Adolf Hitler.
well. That was,
I didn't mean to use him in that term, but I mean the charisma.
He had a lot of charisma. If I'm looking to go to somebody to get some financial advice, they're very charismatic, but they're homeless. I'm not going to take your advice.
I feel personally attacked.
You do really good testing, and it's consistent across the board.
Brother, I get you.
So
I get what you mean, though.
It's definitely something that's foundationally true across the board. So really good fucking questions.
We're talking about physical fitness or activity, nutrition, and accountability. It's crazy how we know that out of the three things, that last one, accountability. No need to reinforce it because I really think you gave great insight into accountability, because the fact that you stressed the importance of that as one of your foundations of how the programs go and how you can help somebody better themselves. That's one thing that I really have never heard from anybody else. My Instagram, my Facebook is flooded with people, V-Shred and freaking guys like that. But I really have never heard the importance of the other factors that go into all that. And by you even talking about accountability, I think is huge. You obviously have a better understanding on the importance of accountability than obviously any of the others that I've seen on there.
I think with my background in firefighting, a lot of that is life safety. And you being in the service, but anybody that is a public servant knows that there's levels to this shit. It's chess, not checkers. Different things are at stake. If you foul up and you can't follow through and you end up making a mistake at your job as an accountant or whatever, maybe somebody loses some money. Ultimately, it's the biggest thing you're risking. At these other jobs, someone could lose their life. We talk about things of value. What's more valuable than life? And so the stakes are differently. So my level of what I expect from leadership and accountability may be different from somebody else's. I just know that most service-based people, police, fire, military, nurses, doctors, a lot of the people that I am mainly starting to attract as clients, we all have that same bar. Everybody's sworn oath somewhere. They have some level of commitment, but they also expect that from the people they're hiring, the people they work with, or the people they choose to surround themselves with, because literally their life is what they're leveraging as far as the decision they make. It's the same when it comes to coaching. And like anything, if you're going to take the time to do it right the first time. And that also,
It really makes sense.
it does. So how many times have we done, I've done it. If I had just ponied up the money and got the shit that I know was right, that would have fixed it the first time, instead of trying to find cheap alternatives to cut corners. But then ultimately you're having to do things 2 and 3 times over to get the job. You would have done it right the first time had you just went with the authority, went with the good quality paint, went with the nice tires. It's the same with all this shit. If you just spent 50 extra bucks or 100 extra bucks, it did it right the first time. Not only would you save money, but the one thing we cannot replace and ever get back is the time. So you wasted months.
Absolutely.
You could go do P90X, but you're going to end up really frustrated when you don't fix your cholesterol or whatever it is.
You're going to hit that plateau in one form or fashion. You're going to benefit yourself, but you're going to get to a point. Yeah, you're going to get to a point where, okay, this is. I've done things to better myself, but I'm still not where I want to be, and I've been doing it for a minute. Been doing the P90X. I'm on the 3rd cycle of my 90 day, and this ain't cutting it no more.
No, what we ultimately find is that at some point in time, you will end up frustrated. You will end up disappointed, and you will end up back at square one. And there's nothing more frustrating than having to be right back at square one when you just spend all this time and effort trying to get around all the bases.
Man, oh man, you are preaching to the choir at this point. Like I feel that. I feel that.
Well, it's the difference between our generation. Sorry, new gym culture, new people. Is like,
I don't even know what generation or what are we in.
I wouldn't consider us millennial. You know, if you're born between, the early 80s, late 70s, if you're at the 40-year-old mark, around there, it's very different from how culture as a 20-year-old sees things. For us, pre-internet, pre-gimmick, all this other bullshit that we went through, we just want to know something works. Like, shoot me straight. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. Just tell me what it is. Can you help me? Can you not? I would actually respect you more if you said, you know what, I can't help you.
We are in an age of information where we're at the point, I don't want to have to learn all this out when I know people have done this time and time again.
Right.
And now we're able to share the information enough where I can skip that step.
Yeah. And if you're anywhere on the spectrum, you sometimes will come up with the answer before someone is done explaining it to you. Just get to the good shit. Just tell me what I need to do. I don't need a sales job. I don't need promises. I want proof over promises. I will give you proof. I'm not here to give you promises. I don't need to promise you anything.
When somebody who lives a life on broken promises and a natural retraction from a broken promise, the proof right there is, it really helps me. It makes the decision easier for me when I don't have to fact check it.
Yeah.
In a sense, I have full trust into what is being presented to me as far as the information, whether it be written, spoken, or a visual representation.
What you're doing is you're not giving a bunch of bullshit promises. What you will deliver is proof. Here's one way you cannot promise your customers they're going to get something that they're not going to get. I'll give you something better. Proof. And you don't need to sell that. You don't need to run ads. You just let the proof be in the pudding.
My man, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Proof over promises, fitness, nutrition, accountability. You have to have all three. You can't bullshit around and say, I'm going to have the accountability and the nutrition.
You can't just do two out of
three. I refuse
three.
to work out. Best of luck with that. I want to go spend my time with someone that understands.
You can't have a Trinity with 2 out of the 3.
No, you definitely have to have all 3 of the Trinity. For it to be considered a Trinity, you need to have 3. Those are some of I think one of the most important highlights.
Absolutely.
Of it.
Listen, hey man, I
got you wanting to sign up, don't I?
It's for real. But here's the one last thing, because I do have the kids. They are getting hangry after talking about this. I'm 100%. I'm ready to do this. And if y'all didn't get a chance to see this and y'all are not motivated, goddamn, then you really don't have the want or ambition to do. But if you're like me and you really wanted to know, here's the problem. This is the main thing that I have to get addressed before I step out of here and go feed my angry kids. Look, a good solid foundation, a good trainer, the one that has and knows what needs to be done, man, that don't come cheap. And that's with anything. And I can't afford that. And then when we talked before we got on the mic, we talked about this, and I said, so what can I do in order to get on the program? And then you ask me, do you have health insurance? Fuck, yeah, I do. And then you ask me, did you ever sign up for HSA or FSA? And then you started to lose me right there. And I don't have a clear understanding why this program that I now realize that I signed up for this whole time is going to make any difference into making a step in the right direction and getting on a training regime or a program. So, because I want to, but you really you enlighten me, my man. Enlighten me.
You brought up a good point. When we talk about health insurance, it's the United States. It's law. You have to have health insurance of some type. And so everybody has health insurance. Unless you don't have a job or you don't have an employer, you're not going to have insurance. In the other case, you'll be on Medicaid, some kind of state or federal funded insurance policy. You have to have it. When it comes to those who have jobs and work at places, when you have insurance, you also set up other things called a health savings account or a flexible spending account. And that's going to depend on your job. But most employers allow these types of programs. And all it is that your insurance is like a coupon. It doesn't cover everything. It's going to cover a percentage. Just like a 50% coupon, your insurance is only going to cover.
So not to cut you off.
Yeah.
HSA.
Health savings account.
FSA is a flex savings account.
Yeah. And that confuses.
And does it really matter which one that I signed up for? I mean, like,
Good question.
Okay.
Good question. Because I've been at my job for 15 years and I really didn't start piecing it together about 2 years ago. Coincidentally, right about the time I started my business, because that's where I was, that was my number one excuse. I don't have money for this. I don't have money to go. I don't have fucking money I have a job, I have a car. I don't have any money. Like, I wish my insurance paid for this. And then I started looking into it. Like, insurance actually does cover a lot of things. So your insurance covers your body.
In my company, they really like said this is something that you should really
Right.
do. But I knew at some point in time I would, with any insurance that I know at some point in time that I would probably need it in my time of need. But outside of just paying the extra money to get into the HSA or the FSA, like that, outside of that.
And your insurance is usually you pay a portion, your employer pays a portion. The HSA or health savings account is something you set aside. It's pre-tax. It comes out of your check pre-tax for everybody that does it, and it goes to a savings account. That's why it's called a health savings account. And that money can only be spent on things that are related to your health care, prescriptions, doctor's visits, co-pays, any medical items that your doctor may prescribe for you, supplies like a CPAP,
Right.
oxygen.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
The laws have changed as of last year that anything that is health related, that improves your health, that helps you get better blood pressure, that helps relieve back pain, stress, anxiety, injury prevention, any of these, our government smartly enough was like, we need to open up these funds to more than just medicine, more than going to doctors to getting another shot, another pill. Anything that helps people get better physically means they need the doctor less. They need less medications. And those are what we're going to open up funding for. And one of those things happens to be fitness and nutrition training. Gyms have it available. Now, the key difference is the company that you end up spending that money with needs to be eligible for that type of payment. And that's where people get confused. I don't know what eligibility is. Look, if you pay for it up front and it's HSA or FSA eligible, that just means they provide you with the paperwork. And so whatever you spent on that program, whatever you spent on that nutrition plan, they give you the paperwork, you send that back to your insurance, and you get that money back. And think you already put
Is it
this
really a tax factor that makes a difference in that? Because I really feel like when you hear pre-tax and all that, you're like, you said it's already taxed and all that stuff. Let's do it.
Well, to make it as easy as possible, everything gets taxed. When you get something out of your paycheck, it's been taxed like 30%, 30 to 40%, depends where you live. And so you can see how this could be very significant if it comes out pre-tax. If you have $1,000 in there pre-tax, and then you bought something that you would have spent taxed money on, you're actually getting it for 30 to 40% discount because it came out pre-tax and you're still able to use it without being taxed. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but I can't help but to be a little upset that they wouldn't really get more in depth
When
explaining this to me, or not even explain it, when telling me this when I'm signing up for
Well,
it.
their job is to sell insurance policies, not how you utilize it, unfortunately.
That's why the CEO of United Healthcare ended up where he's at. Anyways, let's go.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace to him. I don't know, but I do know one thing that I don't agree with is the current healthcare system and the way it's ran. It could be more efficiently. I'm not a politician. I'm just a fireman. I'm just a coach that wants people to eat healthier and all this. But also, knowledge is power. So by telling people of the resources they have, reminding people of things they know are already fundamentally true. I'm not teaching you anything new. I'm just reminding you that you have healthcare insurance set up. You have fitness, nutrition, accountability. You
The
have
accountability
all this,
factor,
you
yes.
know all this. So by me reminding people that, you know what, I do have an HSA. One of my clients, actually just last week, reminded him that we have HSA eligible. And he goes, oh, you are? Yeah, I got like $30,000 in that thing. Because HSA will actually compile. You could save money in there your entire employment history.
Like a rollover.
It's a savings account. It stays in there. You put $10 a month.
A savings account, yes.
He works for the union in Utah and it's been there since he was 18. He's well into his 20s, early 30s now. And then employers match a lot of that. He goes, yeah, I got like $30,000 in there. I said, all of your programming last year, you get that money back. And I sent him the forms.
Can you pull that money out if you needed to by chance?
Usually they're set up on like cards, like a credit card. You would have to swipe it, and then they would have to be able to accept HSA or FSA funds. Like you couldn't go and buy a car with it.
But there is a sort of a
Vetting system.
or like a 401k. Oh yeah, you can pull it out, but you best believe you're going to get penalized.
No,
for something like that.
Not with this money, as long as it's used for anything that's health savings
Okay.
eligible.
Okay.
Like fitness, or nutrition, or I bought an ice bath.
But you do, but you don't just roll out a roll. You don't just say I need some money, cash, and just expect.
No.
Yeah, just give me that money back.
You
And
would have had to have set up a HSA or FSA somewhere, like when you enrolled for
use it
insurance.
wisely. Utilize it
use
for
it.
what you put it in for.
Yeah, you brought up a good thing. HSA will compile over time. It's a savings account. FSA, the key difference between the two is FSA is a preloaded calling card. It comes preloaded with whatever amount you designate. So say $1,500. So in January 1, your minutes fill up to $1,500, but you have all year to use it. You can't change that amount. You can't change it till the following year. Most people will hold on to it all year long, and then they'll get to the last month of the year and they haven't touched that money.
And
It's monopoly. You have to spend it. If not, you give all that money back. It actually goes to the company. You release those funds.
Do you really want to do that?
Yeah, you pay for it.
Do you really want to do that?
And then you reload it the next year. That's something I didn't understand. It's like there's always $1,500.
Use it or lose it.
Use it or lose it. And do you want to give any of your money back to the government or to the insurance company?
You already gave your
came out
hard work
pre-tax.
and effort like to this company and the taxes and all that, and then you're going to give them even more money because you didn't spend money on your own health in a sense.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. You'd have been better off taking $1,500
So
at
much.
any point in the year and spending it on a lavish trip or buying shoes, treating yourself versus letting it go. Because then you would have actually at least got something out of the $1,500.
I mean, for real, like that's real talk.
It's true. And so I could think of 1,500 ways to spend $1,500 on my damn self and go get my toes did. I would do something. And yes, those are important, but if you're somebody that has those or you have insurance, like first ask yourself, do I have HSA or FSA? And then if you're going to utilize those funds, know which type you have, but then whatever it is, you have to make sure that they're eligible to do that and they provide you the paperwork. It's like getting money back. I hope so many people get their money back this year because I had to just remind them, be sure to file this with your insurance and get that money back from your programming, a ton of money.
Now, before we go on a tangent, because again, I got them hangry kids.
Yep.
The main thing I want to know, because I really think that's really enlightening. That's information that I wish was general knowledge, but it's not general knowledge. But in the sense of I am going to use my FSA or my HSA. I don't remember which one that I have, but I know obviously I can utilize either or.
Either one work. It's both money you've already got set aside.
So I'm pretty sure there's a process, like anything else when you're dealing with the insurance, there's a process of making that happen. But can you break down the skinny for me? Can you break it down Barney style in the sense where, all right, you got me. Like I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. And I know I have the funding.
I know if it were something on Amazon, you'd figure it out right away. The good thing is it's just as easy as that. I will show you my HSA card and you can run the number all you
Call
want.
shenanigans.
Yeah, it's just like a damn credit card.
Because anything, it can't be that damn easy.
It's a Visa card. It's a MasterCard, just like anything else. The same way I would use my debit card to buy something, it's the same thing. Boop, slide it, use those numbers.
They gave me one of these and I literally threw it in like the bottom back of my drawer because I really thought this was something I honestly was never going to utilize.
A lot of people don't. And if you had an HSA, that money's probably still there if you got that card around because you already put the money in there pre-tax.
I don't know if my brain can handle it anymore.
Well,
with things like this.
Yeah, you're
how okay, so shit.
As quick as it takes you.
It's Friday today, right?
As quick as it
Monday.
takes you to stick your finger on and authorize payment for something you're going to buy on Amazon or anywhere online, it'd be the same thing for a fitness program or anything that's HSA available.
This isn't going to be a thing where I say it's Friday today. I get a hold of you. I'm on board 100%, and I want to start on Monday. Can we have this happen by then?
Yeah, if
And,
we have-
and if not, can
just like we use the
is-
car, just like we used the car analogy earlier. If you take your car into a shop, they're going to need to do some kind of diagnostic, and then they give you a plan. And they'll usually tell you, all right, you need your brakes done, you need this, it's going to be brake pads, this and this, and labor. Like, and they give you the diagnostic. They tell you what the time cost is going to be and what the investment is going to be.
It's not a ton of paperwork.
No, it's just as much as, yeah, let's get this done, let's do it. And so when it comes to my business is we get a little bit of upfront information, your name, when you want to start, how much you're trying to lose, and you can literally start that day. It's as simple as that. The coaching sessions begin. I run 12 and 16-week programs, some longer than that, and I actually have some annual memberships where people stay on all year long because your goals change, just like your weight.
Absolutely.
It's something you continually are
Because
addressing.
it's been a while, but I really love to get back on the obstacle course racing scene.
Me too, because I don't think I ever ran once. The last one I ran with you. It's good to have things in front of you. It's good to have a carrot on a stick, something that you're continuously working towards. If it's not something like healthcare markers or whatever, it's good to be able to accomplish something. I know how you are. You'll do a Tough Mudder, you'll run a marathon, and not just to run it, but to know that you set your mind on something, you're able to accomplish
I
it.
still got it.
I know you do. You don't lose it till the day.
The only
You're
difference
not
is
here.
now that since I'm 40,
Yeah.
is I got to the point now is that I ran my first marathon without ever training for it, and I did it. I struggled from 18 mile on.
David Goggins ain't got shit on Brad.
But 40 years old, I tried to do the same thing, and my body said, "No, we're not doing
No,
this anymore.
no,
There's
not
got to
today."
be some sort of mobility. Something's got to give because you're not just going to keep putting me through the ringer." You know, like granted that the brain has said, "And then we can do this." The body's like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm the one paying for this, and we're not doing this no more." And that's really the foundation that I need to continue saying that 40 is a new 20. I don't know. I really feel that being 40, because of 40, you are living proof to me that being 40 years old, I don't know exactly what goes through your brain, but I really feel that you are probably in the peak physical condition at 40 years old. And I don't think 95% of the people out there can really go 40 years old saying, "I think in the best shape of my motherfucking life."
Since you are talking numbers and statistics in America, for men over the age of 40, the actual percentage is less than 1.3% of the population. Men that are over 40 actually have visible six-pack. And so for a city the size of New York with, what is it, a couple hundred, it's like 100 something million, not maybe that number.
A few,
It's like 100
let's say
million.
a couple million
So
people.
that size of populace, that would only mean about 240 total out of that many million people of men are actually
Visible
in good enough shape. And I'm not talking
abdominal-
about on stage. I'm talking about your abs are visible and it's flat and you're able to see musculature on the side. And I did the math for Kansas City, this city that's 500,000, it's like 550 or 560,000 people, that only equates to about 10 people in the Kansas City area that are over 40, male.
without anabolics and dehydration, without being like that is dirt driven. Well, I'm gonna say like a movie star or something
Well,
like that. Goal is on scene 300, like by the means of like I use anabolics and I'm using dehydration on screen, I'm gonna look like that.
Yeah.
But on a day-to-day basis, no, sir, that's not going to
Well,
be.
I'll tell you,
like
I
that.
know a lot of people that I was surprised to find out were actually on anabolics that are over that age and in that specific group that look like dog shit. And
I wholeheartedly believe that.
it's true, but it's just like anything else. People think that there's a pill that'll solve all their problems. There's a bike they can buy that'll solve all their problems. There's a car that they can buy, and next thing it solves all their problems. And it's just not true. And to be able to stick it out and actually stick to something that works and have those three principles in mind, and then that you demand proof over progress and proof over promises when it comes to your health and fitness, it's why out of a city this size, there's only 10 statistically of men that are over 40 that are going to have visible abs, and you are talking to one of them. It's just amazing.
Hey, Peloton, you lost a potential customer.
And I'm HSA eligible. And so we weren't even.
I love that. I'm sorry, I just love the information that you just presented. I mean, it's amazing that this is information that doesn't come on a regular basis or just general information that I'm just glad that there is people out there like you. Even though you're my brother, that does not mean that it takes away from the fact that, God damn it, that you are presenting information that is much needed, but is not general information.
It's because you and I, and our generation specifically, we're cut from a different cloth. We don't need fucking trending sounds and a TikTok video to convince us to do something. We know something works because we know it works from proven results. Again and again. And just the old school, put your feet in the fucking dirt and do a little bit of work.
Not internet validation.
We know there's not a hack. You don't swallow a Tide Pod or some shit like that to get you back shit. We know that. And our generation doesn't buy it. We don't. Just tell me what works. Cut the fucking fluff and bullshit and tell me what I need to do. And if I don't have the goods, I don't have the goods. I don't make it. You're either going to make it in the Marine Corps or not everybody's going to get a participation award or get a pass. I'm sorry, just because you signed up doesn't mean we're going to make you a part of our team. And you should not accept that from your leadership, and you should not accept that from the people around you, and you should not accept that when it comes to your personal health because you only get one fucking shot at that. And it may work on the other generations, but I'm sorry. 80s baby, stand up.
I'm not going to drop it, but if I could, mic drop. Mic drop.
And so, in wrapping up, Brad, you've been asking some very good questions, which I hope you did learn something when it comes to stats and all that. I want to end.
Absolutely.